Hi everyone, welcome back. It is Wednesday. It is the 19th of May. And so my multiple choice May stitching is, quite a bit down the road here. So I wanted to show you my progress that I've had on my focus piece for this week, which is Sleepy Hollow. Last when we spoke, I said that I thought I might be working on it down in the left-hand corner under the horse because I had completed the horse's legs the time before. So that's where I started, and that's what I got the most work on. So here's where I'm at today. So I did come under the horse's leg and go ahead because that's where this tombstone matches up. And I made sure I got those placed correctly and then came and finished the tree and did all of the ground under the tree. And now I have to roll it again because there's a big tombstone here with what appears to be either a skeleton laying on top of the ground, like it's a fresh grave, I think, or something. But anyway, this will be right down here, and then that'll be the bottom of the design before a dividing border that's in there between the picture and the words. So I did all of this bottom of the tree and this over here, and even came up here and finished up the belly under the horse. And then I decided it's time to roll my scroll rods pretty soon, so I came over and did 3 motifs in each side of the border. I have not backstitched them yet, but I think that I need to go ahead now because the horse, the back side of the horse starts about right here, so it's about halfway down. So I want to roll my scroll rods up the next time, but I wanted to show it to you before I did. I had hoped to get this whole bottom section done, but then I realized when I got here, I would need to roll it, and I wanted you to be able to see it. So I just went on over here and worked on those 2 sides. And I'll come back up here next probably and get the horse done. You know, I can go ahead and roll it up a bit, but I'll work on the horse next so I can keep bringing the whole picture down. So I'm excited about this. I'm almost to the bottom of the picture part. I have not backstitched what I stitched today. None of this has been backstitched, but I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and finish this horse and get all the ground, and then I'll backstitch it before I start on the words. That's the plan anyway. So thanks for letting me share my progress with you. It is Wednesday, so I did only work on it for 3 days. I probably could have given it another day, rolled it up a bit, and finished the bottom possibly, but tomorrow I have a busy day. I get to go play canasta with my lady friends at church, and Coco is going to get to go play with Fred. So I'm excited about that. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you about a life update. Our son is having surgery, and it's a life-changing surgery. He is going to have gastric bypass surgery, and he has been jumping through hoops for several months, having all sorts of tests. He had to get his heart doctor to approve. He had to get his regular doctor to approve. He had to prove that he was using his BiPAP machine, and they had to go back for over a month. He had to do it for a whole month to let them see how well he was using it. He had to take a psychiatric test to make sure he was actually, of sound mind to make this kind of decision, because it changes you forever. And but he's excited about it. He's very excited about it. He's had a hard time. He's tried to lose weight. He has not been successful, and he has just continued to gain weight over the last 3 years that we've lived here. And it's now to the point where his physician feels it's life-threatening to him. And that's a very sobering thought. He's a young man. He's only 38. So I think if you've been watching me for any length of time, you have known that my son kept having to be taken to the emergency room. They kept thinking he was having a heart attack or a stroke. And as it turns out, everything can be traced back to his weight and the sleep apnea that his excess weight is causing. And so he's decided to take a drastic step and make a big change in his life. So he has asked me to be his caregiver and to help him through the process. And I've gone to classes with him, and I've done some studying of his manual that he's been given, because he has to go on a very regimented eating program that's very restricted, and it's just a lot to take care of. And he wants to have another set of eyes and another person kind of helping him do that until he gets the groove, gets in a groove. So I'm pulling for him. I'm going to help him every way I can. And I would appreciate you sending him happy thoughts and positive thoughts and prayers if you are inclined to do so. Now, I'm going to get back to planning because I have to do a little bit of adjusting in what I'm going to do. I'm still going to keep my focus piece going forward for the next section of May. I'm not going to, renege on that. I'm going to continue. If that's all I get to stitch on next week, that's okay. But this week, while my son is still at work, I've decided to stop working on my focus piece now that I've given it 3 days. And I'm going to use Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as days that I can stitch on my other whips that will meet prompts for my 24 hours acrostic. I have completed the acrostic that was for the monthly magazine challenge. I've already completed it, and I've posted that in that Facebook group. So now I'm working on the 24 hours acrostic, and I think I only have 3 left, I'm thinking. So if I could work on one each day, I can get that acrostic finished before my son stops working to prep for his surgery. And I would like to do that because that just means I hit my goals a little early, and that ensures that I get, to meet them. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to get busy planning for the rest of this week. And everything that I do, I'll come back and share with you. Oh, and by the way, one other thing. My husband decided it was time to put some fresh straw, pine straw, in our flower beds. And y'all know, if you've watched Coco before, she loves to help with that job. And so my husband brought the bales home this week, and he threw a bale down for her. And she shredded that bale from beginning to end. She shook it all out for him, and even got the string that it's tied around the bale. She got that off for him and was ready to do another one. She's a good little worker. Anyway, I've got a video he took of her just to remind you of how precious that is. So I hope you enjoy it. Happy stitching, everybody. Hi everyone, welcome back. It is May 21st. It is Friday. I think it's still Friday. It's late Friday night. And I can tell you, I know it's late because I've had to start this over 3 times. That's not like me. But I even forgot to press the record button, and I had made it through the entire report on my stitching. So this one may be a little bit briefer. Anyway, I was working on a project today for a prompt in 24 hours cross stitch. And the prompt that we had this month for May was how you store your needles. So you either chose to do needle minders as your acrostic, or you could say through fabric. So I'll show you how I store my needles. I store mine through fabric, but it's not my stitching fabric. This was something my sister Stephanie gave me a long time ago from the Amana colonies. Some of you may have heard of that through the Midwest Cross Stitchers Retreat, because that's where they went, I think, the last year or two. Anyway, this was purchased there by my sister and gifted to me. But this catches my threads. I put all my orts in here. I've got a nice little pile in there. And then this is a sand-filled pillow, so it's weighted, and the sand helps to keep your needles clean. And so I stick my needles through fabric. So the acrostic was the right one for me. So that's what I'm doing. And I have this project that I did today was to meet the letter C at the end of fabric. And I decided it would be my commemoration of the pandemic, and that is Long Dog Sampler's Pandemic. So I picked this up to work on it, and I wanted to put some stitches into it, and I did. I put 415 stitches in it, and I'll show you what I did. So I started over here in the heart. The heart had just the outer border done, and I filled in the whole heart. And then I came on down here, and I did the little section here that is a triangle that goes into the next page. And then I completed this fourth petal of what is a flower, I believe. And now what I'm left with is a flower here with a little squirrel next to it. That is the bottom of page 1. So I have one decent sized motif, and I'll be through with this page. I'll have my first page finished on Pandemic. I think that would be awesome. But I wanted to tell you a little something. When I first started working on Pandemic with this highly variegated DMC, it's number 93, by the way, I took my normal length of thread I like to use, cut it off, and I was using 2 strands of the variegated thread together. So 2, 2, and 2, which meant I was stitching with 3 times my needle filled with that same color along the variegation. And you can tell that here, that it was bunched up here and here and here, you know, depending on where I pull that thread, you got blocks of the color. So then I decided I wanted it to be a little smoother than that, and I went through and looked at it until I could see the beginning and ending of the color variation where it started over, and that's where I cut my floss. But it's too long to work with, so I cut it into thirds, and now I pull 2 from that top half, top third, 2 from the middle third, and 2 from the bottom third, and I stitch with those 3 before I start over. And it has made, I think, a big difference. So if you look at this pretty heart in here, you can see the outer border was the light, and then it went right into the middle, and then it went to the dark. And then when I went down here, this was the real light, this is the middle, and this is the dark. And I just felt like it's a lot smoother, and it repeats a lot quicker that way. You get your light and dark variegation a lot more often than these big clumps that I have over here of one color. So, little tip for you, if you want a nice smooth variegation, look on your floss and pull that full length until it's, you know, ends the whole process of the variegation, and then cut it there, and then make your pieces, you know, what you can work with, and just pick them up in order, just like you're going through the whole strand before you start over at the top. Okay, that's my stitching update for today. I am excited. Tomorrow I'm supposed to stitch with my friend Glow, which means I should be working on our sale that we're doing, Project Quarantine. And I should say that we were doing, because I think Glow has already finished hers. She told me she has a finish to share with me tomorrow. And so that's exciting. I wish I hadn't had to start over on mine, but that's okay. I'll get a lot done, I hope, tomorrow, and be able to share it with you. Oh, there's a lot going on as far as my stitching. I'm enjoying working on my focus pieces, and then trying to fit in other projects as soon as I finish my goal that I had for my focus piece. That'll change a little bit next week. It's my last focus piece. It's Winter Quaker. And my goal there is just to finish the row, because that will hit my whip go goal. And that way when it's called, I can mark it done. And so I've been working on that all along this year, doing one motif at a time, because a lot of them were really big on this row. And that way I can finish it easily when that number's called. And we'll have another one called here in about a week. So that'll be wonderful. And we'll get to see what 2 projects we get to work on next. Well, I hope you're enjoying your stitching in May, however you're doing it. And I'm going to love you and leave you, as they say, and get some shut-eye before I do my stitching with Glow tomorrow. Happy stitching, everyone. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Dina. Today is May 22nd. It's a Saturday, and I have some stitching progress to share with you. I did get to stitch with my friend Glow this morning. I'm very excited about that. And we have worked on a project together that she showed me her finish on today, and it's beautiful. She did her own color conversion, pulling the threads that she had available, and she loved it. And it's beautiful. I love her finish. We're both going to make pillows out of this, but I'm not quite done yet, especially since I had to start over. But just to remind you, this is the project that we're stitching on. It's a Brenda Gervais, and this whole thing in here is 1/1 stitching, and I am thrilled to tell you that that's what I finished today, the 1/1. Isn't that pretty? I just think it's so delicate and so lovely. Anyway, I had these 3 stars done inside the hoop. So today I finished the big star, the rest of this picture of the house and the flowers and the little screw that tightens the hoop at the top. All of that 1/1 today. And I was tickled to be able to do 1/1 stitching while talking today, but it's an easy pattern to follow, and this is 28 count. So that 1/1 is easy. It's great. Worked out really well. So this wasn't for a prompt, this was for a stitch along. So I still have 2 prompts to hit for my 24 hours of cross stitch, and I'll be working on that. Hopefully one of them maybe tomorrow. We'll see. I have some other prompts that I need to work on as well, and I will, work on those hopefully next week after I do my focus stitching on my Winter Quaker. So now I want to announce something that Glow and I discussed today, and we came up with a great plan. I typically do Christmas in July stitching of some sort. I do Christmas. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet for this Christmas in July, but it will be Christmas focused. So that leaves a theme for June. What would I like to focus on in June? Glow asked me that today, and I said, I don't know. What do you think? So we talked about it. We came up with, both of us came up with the idea that if we're going to stitch Christmas in July, we could go ahead and stitch Patriotic in June and have it ready for July, hopefully, if it's a small or whatever. So that is what I'm going to do in June. I'm going to do Patriotic stitching in June. So I am about to close down my stitching for the night and get out all of my projects that I have either kitted or in the basket to be considered for kitting next year. I'm going to be looking for things that are patriotic, and then I will come up with my June plans so that hopefully either by the end of this video or at least by next week, I'll have my June plans to share with you, because it's about that time. So anyway, I hope you're enjoying your stitching. I hope you're having a great weekend. Had a wonderful day today. My son and I went to lunch together, And then, and my husband actually drove to Macon, Georgia, which is about a 3-hour round trip or so, maybe a little more, to a surprise birthday party for his sister. And it was so worth the trip. I stayed here to take care of Coco, but he said that when his sister came into her granddaughter's home, who was hosting the surprise party, she was so surprised to see everyone there and was shocked and excited, and then she saw him. She did not know he was coming, and of course they have not seen each other for over a year because of the pandemic. And when she saw him, she just started crying. So that was really worth it. What a reception. So he is very happy that he got to do that. Coco's very happy that he's back home. So he is out playing with her. They've been tossing the tennis balls and rolling in the grass and having a wonderful time this evening. So I think everything's gone beautifully today. I got to stitch this morning, and then I came in just a few minutes ago. I had to put a few more stitches in this 1/1 to finish it up, and I did. And so that's been a great accomplishment for me today. I love it when I hit a small goal like that, because I really feel like I've accomplished what I needed to do, and I feel so good passing that whip on, for the next time, that when I pick it up, I'll be so ready, to do my next goal on it. So I'm going to let you go back to your stitching or whatever you might be doing today, and I'm going to start doing my planning for my June patriotic stitching, and I'll be sharing it with you soon. Happy stitching, everybody. Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Dina. It is Monday. It is the 24th of May, and I'm here to give you an update on my focus stitching. This is the last one for the month of May, and it is Winter Quaker by Rosewood Manor. And I had decided that I was going to complete one row all the way across, the motifs that go all the way across on this piece. And so that is exactly what I have done. Fortunately, I've been working on it off and on throughout the year, so it didn't take a whole lot for me to get that done. So let me share it with you. Here we are. Today, I had done all these large motifs going across. So today, this is the motif that I had to finish. And the rest of my work were all of these little tiny individual snowflakes. I had to start over here with this one, and then I had to come all the way around. I had to do the bird, and then I had to come all around with these snowflakes. Yes, if you've stitched this before, you might notice this bird is in the wrong place. I'm not gonna frog it. It's just gonna stay there, and I will just adjust the other motifs around it just a little bit till they fit well, and keep on going. I'm not going to worry about it. But I am tickled because on my Whip Go board, even though it hasn't been called yet, this one here, number 7, is my Winter Quaker, and it was to finish one row across. And I have done that now, so I can turn this yellow because that means I've done it, but it hasn't been called yet. So there's one green one left, and it is to finish a page on my Haid. And I haven't worked on that in a while. So I'm hoping that at least one of the days of this week, I will be able to work on my full coverage piece, my a real snow job, and get a little bit closer to that page finish. I'm hoping to, anyway. So that's my update for today. I'm gonna call it a night. I have a busy day tomorrow, and I'm not sure I'll get to stitch very much tomorrow, so that is yet to be determined. But I'm really tickled that I was able to finish my goal for this piece in one day. And I do want to move on since it is the end of the month, and I want to work on some other projects that I haven't gotten to yet. So I'm not going to give it a full 3 days. I'm just going to do that Whip Go goal, and then I'm going to move on. So I will hopefully give you an update again soon, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, but I'll talk to you as soon as I have something to share with you. Happy stitching, everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Dina, and today is May 26th. It is a Wednesday, and I'm here to give you an update on what I've been stitching on today. I wanted to meet a prompt in my 24 hours of cross stitch today, and that was for the letter F, and I had chosen that to stand for full coverage. This also helps me work on a whip go goal, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is my full coverage that I am working on at the moment. It's called A Real Snow Job. It is a heaven and earth design that was gifted to me by Marlene, Stitching by the Lake, a while back. And I'm not making fast progress on it because full coverage is kind of new to me, and it took me a while to get my pattern keeper and get everything set up, and I am loving pattern keeper. So today I got ready to stitch, and I pulled out my pattern keeper and started working on a couple of colors, and I actually color completed 3 colors in my page 1 that I'm trying to finish, and that's where Whip Go comes in. My goal in Whip Go for this piece is a page finish by the end of the year. This one may take me all year, but I will show you where I'm at. This is where I got to today. So I filled in quite a bit in here, and then came on down and worked my way down in, especially in this pale purple that I have there. So it's getting better. It's getting fuller and more complete as I'm working my way down. And now that I'm not going to do the diagonal stitching, I'm just going to do it page by page. Now that I have pattern keeper, I am, I had gotten about right here with the diagonals. So now I've started just at the top, and I pick a color and I color complete it all the way through the page, and then I go back and pick another color. So that is working well. We'll see what I do when I get to the next page, but this is where I am for now on A Real Snow Job. So that's what 349 stitches did for me today. I obviously have a lot left to go, but with Pattern Keeper, I'm willing to pick it up a lot more frequently. So I'm hoping that I will begin working on this at least every couple of weeks and get some progress in it. I think that will be fun. And so I just wanted to share that with you. Thanks for letting me do that. It's been a beautiful day today. My husband went out for a run this morning and has been shopping and running some errands for our family all day long. And I have a little 4-legged creature right over here staring out the window looking for him. It's kind of sad. But anyway, we'll take her for a long walk later this evening. I wanted to also let you know my son has started his prep diet for his surgery. That was started on Tuesday officially. He went ahead and started Monday. For the most part, he only had one small meal Monday other than his liquid diet. But yesterday he was dead on. He did great. And today he woke up with a bit of a headache. I think he was, even with all the liquid diet and water that he drank the required amount of water. I think he was a little dehydrated. So I've been giving him extra water today. Not that he's excited about it, but anyway, he doesn't like the headache either. So, and he can take Tylenol for that. So we gave him some Tylenol, but otherwise he's doing great. And we have finished watching a Netflix series, The Circle, season 2. We wrapped that up last night, and so now we'll have to find us another wonderful series that we'd like to watch. So I hope you're having a great time stitching. I hope things are going well for you in this month of May. We're getting to the end. We'll be wrapping it up soon. So I'm really delighted that I got to touch this whip before the end of the month. And I'm very happy to say I have someone coming to stitch with me tomorrow if nothing gets in the way of it. A good friend of mine who used to come and stitch with me before COVID hit, and we haven't seen each other since then except on Facebook and Messenger, but we haven't seen each other in person since then, and she's coming to my house tomorrow. We're gonna stitch. She's gonna be at one end of the table and I'm gonna be at this end of the table, and we will get caught up on all the news and get to spend some time together, and I think that'll be exciting. So I'm very happy about that. My plan right now is, while she's here, to pick back up my Project Quarantine, the stay at home and stitch, because it's an easier stitch. It's not as hard to see or count, and I think I have less chance of making mistakes when you work on something that's simple like that. So I'll be doing that hopefully tomorrow while she's here. And then after that, I have it in my notes that I would like to pick up a Teresa Winsler, because my last letter in my 24 hours acrostic is T, and I'm using that for Teresa. So I have two I could pick from. I could pick from Mermaid or Nativity, and see which one I want to put some stitches in. So I hope you're having a good week, as I said, and hope you're healthy and well, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Happy stitching. Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Dina. It is Thursday, it's May 27th, and it's a great day today. First of all, I had a fabulous time stitching with my friend Melody, who came today. We had a great time of fellowship. Don't know that we got a lot of stitching in, but it had been about, I don't know, since February of 2020 since we've seen each other in person. So we had 15 months or so to catch up on. Oh, so we did a lot of talking, but we did get some stitching in as well. And we talked about projects and how our stitching has changed as a result of the pandemic. And both of us had noticed some changes in the way we stitch. Melody has noticed a difference in what she enjoys stitching, and had actually come to the realization, I guess, that time is valuable and short, and she wound up sunsetting a few of her projects that she didn't think she'd ever get back to, and putting that stash back in her collection to be used in another way for something new in the future. And I think that's very freeing and just wonderful for her. So today, while we were stitching, I didn't have a whole lot left to do to finish up the project I have been working on recently. So I did get a finish today, but it's a little bit of a cheat because I wasn't far from it. It's not as impressive as it sounds, but Melody was here when I got the finish, so we got to celebrate that together. But I'm talking about Project Quarantine. This was a gift to me from my friend Glow. Thank you, Glow. It was a fabulous stitch, and Glow stitched it with me, except Glow got through with it before I did. And so I knew she wouldn't mind if I just rushed on through to the end. And so that's what we did. So here it is. Here is my Project Quarantine, or Let's Stay Home and Stitch. And I just realized, looking at the pattern, I didn't put any thread in this needle, so I need to go back and do that, and I'll do that as soon as I'm through talking with you. But here it is. I used, this turned out to be 28 count fabric. I started on a piece that was supposed to be 32 count, and it obviously shrunk quite a bit in the dyeing process, or it was mismarked because it turned out to be 40 count. Which I passed along to my friend Melody today because she likes 40 count. So she got a nice piece of fabric today. And interestingly enough, she gave me a piece of fabric because she'd seen me stitch on it before. And every time she tries stitching on it, it makes her eyes go a little wonky. It's the fabric that has the little white dots on it. And those dots weren't fun for her. So now I have some more of that. I can do additional ornaments or another Christmas piece, whatever I'd like to do. So thank you, Melody. That worked out well. So here is my Project Quarantine on my second start. This is on 28 count Heroic by Picture This Plus. And I loved it for this because of the 1/1 stitching there in the hoop and the 1/1 stitching in this needle. Made it very easy to see. It was just lovely to work on. I enjoyed that so much. So this has been a fun stitch, and I love the fabric choice because of the blue streaks in it in the Heroic. And I've decided that I'm probably going to take the other half of this, or even more than half, that's left over now that I've trimmed it down. And I'm going to start another 4th of July piece on it, which I'll tell you about in a few minutes. So anyway, my plans for this is a pillow. And I think I'm going to go ahead and try to do that pretty quick, because with it being the colors that it is, it would look beautiful on my mantle during my Memorial Day and my July 4th type decorations for the summer. So that's my plan there. Thanks for letting me share my finish with you. It was such a pleasure to stitch this, and it went really fast. And the only back stitching or straight stitching you do are the X's and at the bottom and the spools. And I will tell you what I did with these spools. I took my thread first and I stitched 3 stitches up on the side to form a barrier. And then when I did my straight stitches across, I had that thread to hold, because when I did it the first time without it, it pulls the thread and it gets uneven and pulls the thread pieces in the weave, and it didn't look straight. It didn't look even there. I couldn't keep it, no matter how light I tried pulling it, I couldn't get it to work until I put that anchoring thread in there first. So lesson learned for me. I'll do that anytime I'm doing that kind of a satin stitch in the future. So did want to share that with you. So now I finished with this pattern, and it was a gift to me, and I know that Glow wouldn't mind that I share it with one of you. So if you are interested in stitching the Project Quarantine, Let's Stay Home and Stitch, please let me know by putting a comment below and just say that you would like to stitch Project Quarantine. Okay? And then I'll just draw a lucky winner on my next episode of my floss tube video, and you'll get to be able to stitch that maybe for July if you like. Let's talk about Whip Go. Whip Go numbers came out today. I'm so thrilled. The numbers today were 1 and 17. So when I grabbed my Whip Go board, look what I have. Here's number 1. It was 10 hours on pandemic, and I've done well more than 10 hours. But that means, the yellow means I've already done it. It just wasn't called yet. So now that it's called, guess what? I get to turn that blue. So that one is done. And then number 17. Here's number 17. Little Sheep Virtues. I had to complete 1 block. Well, I completed my little block, and then I completed the middle because that was one of my focus projects. So this one can turn blue as well. So with my new numbers being called, both of them are already done. I'm so excited. Now, it still doesn't give me a bingo. Any way you look at it, doesn't give me a bingo or whip go, however you want to say it. But I am thrilled about that. And I did work on my Haid this week, so I'm working toward that, completing 1 page, which is the only other green space that I have. And but I'm excited about it. I'm gonna keep working on my crabapple tree to finish that 1 season, because I think that'll be a hard one to hit. And then who knows, during July, if it hasn't been called in, well, it hasn't been called unless it's called for July, I will try to work on Crystal Christmas during my July, because I'm going to do Christmas in July. So that's what I've got going. So I want to encourage any of you that like to stitch for a season to stitch with me. So in addition to the Project Quarantine that you can let me know if you're interested in, I thought I would do a bit of a giveaway heading in toward the patriotic stitching. This giveaway was actually passed along to me by a viewer, and I was told that I could either keep it and stitch it or I could use it as a giveaway on my channel. So thank you for that, and thank you for that generosity, because this is very popular and I think you guys would enjoy it. So this is the Trucking Along July Stitching with the Housewives. And so I'll be giving this one away as a encouragement for you guys to do some patriotic stitching with me. So if you're interested in this, just say that you want to stitch the July trucking pattern, the July trucking pattern, and that way I can do the random comment generator, and I can pick a winner for that. So I do have a comment from my friend Melody. She asked me today, she likes to stitch seasonally as well, and she likes to stitch just ahead of the season, so she may have something ready for that season. And we were talking about that today, and she asked me, with my plans for July patriotic stitching, was I going to ignore my other whips? Is this one of those things where I take the month and carve it out and just do July patriotic stitching? And I said no, because even as in doing these focus pieces in May, I've done those for about 3 days, and then I went ahead and stitched on something else, and that is how I got my finish. So it's I think my only finish this month, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I intend to do something very similar in July. So I will plan on having at least 4 starts. I plan on doing them about 3 days that week. And then I plan on stitching on other things for my whip go board or my prompts for the rest of that week, so that I can continue to make some progress on these whips. I've got some whips that I've had around for a while that I'd really like to see finished. I'd like to push Giggles in the Snow to a finish this year, and I would like to push Sleepy Hollow to a finish this year. I don't think I could get either Mermaid or Nativity to a finish this year. I think both of them are extremely detailed and intricate, and that they're probably not going to get enough progress to get finished in this year. But I can still work on them and get some, get them pushed a little bit further along. But I have been trying to concentrate on the ones that I think I might be able to finish this year, which are the others that I mentioned just a minute ago. So noticing that I have 2 fairly decent sized, I would say good medium sized projects with Strawberry Fields and the Patriotic Sampler from Jeanette Douglas. Those are going to be kind of larger pieces, so I need to get those other 2 finished, so I have enough stitching time to go around. Anyway, I've had a great day. I hope you have. And I look forward to sharing what little bit of stitching I get done between now and the end of the month with you as it occurs. And I will talk to you soon. Happy stitching, everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is Dina. It's just later in the day on Thursday, and I wanted to come back and show you what I was able to accomplish this afternoon. I had a prompt that I wanted to stitch on for 24 hours of cross stitch, the May acrostic, and it was the last letter that I needed to finish my acrostic. It was the letter T. And I decided today that I would change it from Teresa Wentzler to 2 field mice, which are in my field mice hollow, which is this pattern here. And the reason I did that is because I have a second prompt I wanted to work on, and it was to stitch on something that you would find or use for hiking. And you need good shoes for hiking. So I decided to stitch on the shoe in the field mouse hollow, and I had to get 300 stitches in. So I got 301 in the shoe and the flower. And so now I'm ready. When I pick it back up, I can just fill in all of that with the same color. So that'll be easy fill-in stitching for zooming or for travel stitching or anything else. But I'm excited to tell you that completed my acrostic in 24 hours, and it completed the other prompt I was working on for a different Facebook group. So today I was able to sit down and do a little bit of planning for June, again for the acrostics, both for my magazine monthly challenge and for the 24 hours across stitch. So I have it penciled in on what I'm going to work on, and what each letter will stand for when I get there. Now, that's always subject to change, but at least I have something to get started with. So I just wanted to come back and share that with you. That was a great way to end the day today, to get that little bit of stitching done to meet that prompt. And I was tickled to do it. And now I have a very busy day tomorrow, but I'm hopeful that I'll get a little stitching in tomorrow. We'll see. But if I do, I'll pick up a different project to work on, and it will possibly be one to meet a prompt in a new challenge, because we get one again on Friday, or it will be where I'll just grab one of my projects that I'm trying to get the most work in, and I will work on it. So I wanted to get this out of the Q-Snap so I could share it with you one more time. It's on a beautiful, beautiful piece of 28 count cream cachet linen, and I think it's just turning out really lovely. The shoe was supposed to be the same color, the Weeks Dye Works color of black, let me see what they call it, charcoal, as the hats. But this piece was originally designed to be stitched over 1 on a higher count fabric, and I'm doing it over 2 on 28. So I have to do it 2 strands, and I had only ordered 1 of the charcoals. So that's all I have to do this project, and I was afraid it would not be enough. So I'm saving that charcoal for the other hat, the other little mouse's hat. But the shoe I'm doing in DMC 310. It's just meant to be a dark shoe, black shoe, so I'm just doing it in 310, because that way I guarantee I don't run out of my fancy floss that I'm going to need for those hats. Well, thanks for letting me come back today and share this with you. I'm going to close it up for the night and possibly go spend some time with my son, and we might watch some TV together. And but I'll be hitting it again in the morning. So I'll see you then. Happy stitching. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. This is Dina, and this is my channel about cross stitch. Today I'm going to give you an update on what I finished stitching on yesterday, because I haven't started stitching yet this morning. But yesterday I was working on a prompt, and the prompt was to stitch on something that had a pear in it. So I chose my Field Mouse Hollow because it has a pair of mice in it. And I had started working on the shoe. And the reason I was working on the shoe is because I had used it for a previous prompt for something for hiking, and you needed good shoes for hiking, so that's why I picked it. So I had stitched a bit on the shoe and had outlined a good bit of the shoe, and had intended to do fill-in stitching the next time I did a Zoom stitching meetup. But as it turned out yesterday, I wanted to spend some time with my family, watching some TV and talking and visiting with them. And so I thought, well, I could do this fill-in stitching at the same time. That's what I did. So here is my Field Mouse Hollow with the shoe complete. Anyway, I did change out the color of the shoe. It was called for my overdyed, and I only had 1 skein of that. I think I've explained that in a prior little segment. So I pull the DMC black for the shoe, and I'll keep the overdyed for the other little mouse's hat, and any other of that color that's needed is charcoal, I believe. So there you have, the shoe is finished. I actually wound up stitching 1,317 stitches. to complete that shoe. That was a big day of stitching, but it was just easy, mindless fill-in, and I could do that while I was doing other things with my family so that I had more time, you know, that way to do it. So I'm going to put this piece away for now, and decided that's enough for that. And today, I'm going to be doing some planning for June, and I'll probably do a bit of stitching maybe for another prompt. So I only have today and tomorrow before I can start my June stitching, and my June stitching is going to be primarily patriotic. So I'm going to do a bit of planning, and I may come back today and tell you what I plan to do, what week I'm going to start what, and other whips that I might be working on. So you may get to see me a little bit later today, and then I think I'm going to see if there's enough in this video to go ahead and either upload it today, or if I do any filming tomorrow, I may upload it tomorrow. So we wrap up the month. Anyway, so happy stitching, and I hope to see you a little bit later today. Hi everyone, I'm back to give you the results of my planning for the month of June. This is always subject to change, as we all say, but I do have an outline on my calendar of what I hope to be stitching for the month of June so that I can really get some work done on some patriotic stitches, but not necessarily neglect everything else that I've been working on. So here's how I'm going to do that. On Tuesday, the 1st of June, my plan is to start Strawberry Fields Forever. Pardon that zipping. This is what it looks like. And I am planning on stitching it on this beautiful Platinum Lugana 32 count. And I can't do this as well as Julie from Reflections Framing and whatnot, but I'll show you as much as I can of the threads. There you go. That's what I'm hoping to do. These are all the called for colors. Most of them are Gentle Arts. A couple of them are, there's like a Wheat Style Works in there, but that is going to be started on the very 1st of June. Now, as of now, my plan is to stitch on this piece for 3 days. I really enjoyed working on my projects that I did on the focus month, where I had my 4 focus pieces. I really enjoyed getting 3 days on them. I could see a good deal of work being completed on them. So I've got the first 3 days of June slotted for Strawberry Fields Forever. Then I'm going to do like I did last month when I was focusing on 4 pieces, and that is after I finish my focus piece for 3 days, I'm going to pick up whips. So that takes us to the 2nd week of June. And the 2nd week of June, I have decided to start my next patriotic stitch, and it is called God Bless You. And it is a Stoneware Wishes. It's a very small piece, 44 by 59. And I'm going to do it on my remnant that I have left, and that's a sparkly, if you can tell it, piece of the blue that I did my owls on, my Thankful, Grateful, Blessed. This was what was left, and so I have just enough room to put this on there, and that's what I plan on doing with that one, and that start is on the 7th, and I am, because it's so small, I'm only going to give it 2 days. If I don't finish it in 2 days, then I can go back toward the end of the month or on another day and put some more stitches in it, but I'm hoping to be able to finish it in 2 days. If I can't, that's okay, but I don't want to take up 3 full days and then not need the 3rd one. So that's what I'm going to do. Then, Monday again, on the 14th, my new start that I'm planning I'm pretty excited about. I've had this in my stash for probably 5 years. I was afraid of it. I was afraid of the specialty stitches in it. So I think now, after doing 2 of the drawn threads that I've done the autumn and winter, and they were nothing but specialty stitches. I've decided that they're not terrible. I'm not afraid of them. They have wonderful diagrams in here, and so I'll just be using those and learning how to do new stitches. So this is the Patriotic Sampler. Many of you have seen that Pam from Just Keep Stitching, she finished hers this past year. So it really prompted me to consider getting mine out and getting that thing started. And when I bought the pattern, I bought the kit. So here's all the floss that's needed, all the beads, all the charms, all the buttons, everything in one little kit. Nice. First time I've ever done that, and I'm so glad I did, because look how long it's taken me to get the nerve up to start it. And you know, would that even be available today? I don't know. But it's a beautiful piece. I can't wait to start it. And that brings us to another Monday. On Monday the 21st, I would like to start a long Maishi wave. It's a Fancy That. I put it toward the end of the month because, as I mentioned earlier, I've had to order the banding. I've also had to order some buttons. They are being shipped, but I don't have them yet. So I'm going to give myself those few weeks for everything to get in, and at least the banding to get in, and then I will, you know, pull the threads and get that fully kitted and go forward with it. That gets 3 days. I'm hoping to get a good bit of work done on it in those 3 days. And then I've got one that's a maybe. Let me tell you why it's a maybe. Because it's all beading, and I'll have to see if I'm in the mood for it. But on Sunday, the 28th, I may very well start this little Spring Bouquet 6. It is the Raggedy Ann Andy knockoff looking, you know, beaded kit. And so I would like to do this for my friend. And, you know, we'll see. If I'm in the mood for beading, because it's almost all beads, then I will do that. And so I've got it penciled in to start it on that Monday and give it 3 days. Now, beading is not that difficult, and it's a very small piece. So I very well may be able to finish it in those 2, well, I have it for 2 days. So if I don't finish it in 2 days, I'll have a really good start on it, and I don't need it till either Christmas or birthday. So either December or next March. So if I get this started now, I'm well ahead of the game, and that's great. Then on the 30th, the last day of the month, I'm going to start Itty Bitty America. So if you're counting, that's actually more than the 4 starts that I planned. It's 5, 6. It's 6. These 2 make it 6. These are small. They may or may not happen depending on how everything else goes. But I've got them at the end just in case. And if so, then that gets 6 of my 8 that I was considering started. And I think that's a great percentage that I could get working on. And in addition to that, as you've heard, I will be continuing to pay some attention to my current whips as well. So that sounds like a wonderful June for me. Hoping that you'll enjoy taking that journey with me and visiting with me while I'm stitching all of those things. In the meantime, I hope you're having a great month of May. I hope whatever you've done in the month of May has been great fun, and that you have had success by getting to stitch. So I am gonna close out for this video, and I will see you soon. Happy stitching, everyone.
Good girl. Tear it up. Tear it up. Thread that strop. Tear it up. Good girl. Way to go. Yeah. Very good. That's a good job. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now you're getting it.